What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Demi. I'm coming at you with another video, and when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, audiences have been rejecting this game ever since day one. When we come over here to the world premiere trailer, you can see that it's sitting at 606,000 downvotes to only 303,000 upvotes, and the main reason for that was because of the disrespect that was given to Japanese players and to Assassin's Creed fans all around the world. It was always a dream for the audience to potentially play as a ninja running around Japan and assassinating individuals, mainly because that's the whole focus of the game, and that was a perfect time period to actually incorporate within the Assassin's Creed universe. But instead, what we ended up getting was Naoe and a heavy focus in on Yasuke, who was not historically a samurai. Well, after two very large delays got announced, we ended up seeing a new story trailer. And for me personally, when I watched this new story trailer, I noticed something very interesting. There was less focus in on characters like Yasuke and more of a focus in on Naoe. And you've been seeing more things like this starting to pop up all over the place. When you come over here to some of the marketing for the game, you're seeing, well, the two main characters are kind of tucked in the background, but most importantly, Yasuke, for example, is also really tucked away in all this, especially with this marketing. Now, people did come out here and kind of point out the obvious one-to-one comparison with things like Star Wars, but they started commenting on, hey, you know what? Yasuke's kind of getting shoved to the side a little bit. And when you come back over here to this trailer, it's heavily focused in on
hard to remember.
Naoe the predominant amount of time. This trailer is basically Naoe's trailer. There's a small segment of Yasuke, but for the most part, it's all about Naoe. And audiences have been commenting on this. And the other day, we ended up having from Games Radar Assassin's Creed Shadows devs want you to know that Yasuke isn't an assassin, and that means he's not getting any of those classic assassin abilities. So why make him a playable character to begin with? Why introduce him to the game to begin with, and why is this even going on? Why are people coming out here and saying that? Well, it appears we finally have the reasoning. Exclusive! Assassin's Creed Shadows. Delay was to scale back Yasuke after historical backlash. Now, this was a rumor that's been going around ever since the initial delay first came out. And as you're seeing some of the new marketing coming out, when you're seeing some people that have played the game a little early and are starting to comment on it, and including some of the devs coming out here even saying, yeah, Yasuke's not an assassin, it's leading people to start speculating, why is this going on? Why are they doing this? They initially had a very heavy focus in on Yasuke, so why are we doing this just now? And it gives a little bit more credence to this possibility that Yasuke was actually diminished. But if we scroll down here and read some of this from their source, we can see something interesting is going on here. As YouTube host SkillUp mentioned, after playing the game for 5 hours, he primarily plays as Yasuke, but noted that the experience was vastly different and inferior compared to playing as Naoe. According to him, Yasuke lacks the same versatility as Naoe, not just in combat, but also in exploration. Surprisingly, Yasuke does not have the same opportunities, such as climbing higher towers. This gave the impression that Yasuke is locked into a more limited one-dimensional role within the game. And the thing is, when you come back over here to the game's radar, this is exactly what the devs said and tried to explain that, yeah, he's not an assassin. He's not going to have the same abilities as Naoe. He's not going to do the same things as Naoe. Then why make him a playable character to begin with? Really starts bringing up all these questions. But you keep going on. That aligns with a rumor recently communicated by That Park Place source speaking under condition of anonymity. According to our source, the $20 million, it was actually euro, delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows was not merely to polish the game, but to shift focus away from Yasuke as the main protagonist. Evidence of this can already be seen in the marketing, where Yasuke is increasingly absent from prominent posters that feature Naoe more prominently instead. This appears to be a reaction to the backlash Ubisoft has faced, not only from longtime fans of the franchise, but also from many Japanese critics angered by Yasuke's portrayal as a far more significant historical figure than he actually was. Furthermore, rumors suggest that many of Yasuke's quests, including main and side content, have been removed or heavily altered. These cuts are reportedly intended to avoid offending Japanese audiences and historians who have criticized the game's historical inaccuracy. A significant portion of the controversy ties back to Thomas Lockley, whose work Ubisoft allegedly used as the primary inspiration for Yasuke's character. And when it comes to Thomas Lockley, that dude is nothing more than a political hack and an activist that is pushing nonsense the entire time. But let me tackle this head on. I honestly don't believe any of this. And that's predominantly because of how game development actually works. You added on 3 months of development, mainly to clean up the bugs and everything like that, as cited with the initial announcement of the delay that you pulled up Star Wars Outlaws and learning from the launch of that game, which was heavily bugged. When it comes to this rumor, I don't believe it. You're telling me that within these 3 to 4 months, you were able to completely radically change the game from having maybe an equal focus on both Yasuke and Naoe to a predominant focus on Naoe and a limitation and a pullback of Yasuke just because of some controversy. I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to need some hard evidence to prove this. Yes, we are starting to see within the actual marketing itself a more diminishment of Yasuke and pushing some stuff more towards the back, for example. And it is kind of awkward to see Yasuke not being an assassin, but still being a playable character. But when you read this particular article from Assassin's Creed Shadows, it does lead credence to the rumor. I'm not going to lie, especially when you consider what the dev actually says. In an interview with Games Radar Plus, associate game director Simon Lemmy-Comotes confirmed that Yasuke is not an assassin because the narrative makes sense that he is not. Elsewhere, Lemmy-Comotes said that a big part of Yasuke's importance in the plot of Assassin's Creed Shadows stems from his existence as an outsider, someone who can find his way into distinctly Japanese story without having to wholly understand Japanese culture, which, again, doesn't make much sense. Why can't he be an assassin? Why can't he still be a part of Assassin? Why is he helping out? And some of this, again, it's not adding up. Lemmy-Comotes didn't reveal any story details, so we don't know exactly what will happen to Yasuke by the end of the story. But he's clear that he works with fellow protagonist Naoe, but he's not an assassin and he doesn't have to be. That means that he's not likely to have access to the kind of combat and stealth tools that Naoe does. The split design forced Ubisoft to always embrace the reality that these two characters are completely different. Embracing that means the team could never go say, what if Yasuke has eagle vision? It would be easier. No, explains Lemmy-Comotes, he needs to not have it, so you play different with him than you play with Naoe. Now, the reason this doesn't really make much sense is they've done a game like this before, where you have 2 completely different characters that you play. That's back in Syndicate, where you had Eve and Jacob Fry. But the thing is, both these 2 characters, who were both assassins, played extremely different, had extremely different loadouts, worked extremely different from one another. Eve was more stealthy, sly, and quick, while Jacob was more of a brute, a brawler, and had an easier time endearing himself with more of the gangs of Britain back then. And it doesn't really make much sense when you consider that they've already done this. They've already had 2 completely different characters that played completely differently that were both still assassins. So why have Yasuke as a playable character at all in this situation? Why have him connected to this at all if you're not going to give him assassin's abilities? Why is he helping out the assassins within the initial trailer? We can come right on over here, I do believe, and we can see Yasuke's outright helping Naoe. He's a part of Naoe. He's a part of the raids on certain areas. He's assisting the assassins. So why wouldn't he have assassin's abilities? None of this is adding up. And the thing is, this just gives more credence and more evidence to the possibility that this rumor is true. Personally, again, I don't believe it. I'm going to need to see just a little bit more, and I'm going to need to have somebody from Ubisoft outright confirm it. But in the meantime, it looks like they might actually be diminishing Yasuke to the best of their ability. But let me get your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Shout out friends, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video live, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.